Shantae is a game created for Nintendo's handheld console, the Game Boy Color, developed by the married couple Matt and Aaron Bozon. This is very important data. I don't know about you, but she's the first woman I know of who has created a video game character, even if as co-author, at the company WayForward, which nowadays has created good games based on successful franchises from Nintendo's great console, the NES. When the company made Shantae, it was a studio that was just starting out, but before this project, it had already created several titles, mostly for PC, before making the leap to Nintendo's handheld console. Nowadays, it has found a very good place thanks to digital downloads on consoles and PC, which is a shame because back then the game didn't stand out at all and was left in the shadows of the store shelves. One of the reasons this game became a hidden gem is its release date, which was in July 2002, and the problem was that by that time the Game Boy Advance was already running the marathon. So the game was overshadowed by the launch of that console and its titles. The same has happened with games like Snow Brothers, Bucky O'Hare, etc. It seems to be a mandatory pattern. A game comes out at the end of a console's life and falls into obscurity. Over time, the people who bought it got a great title, and those who want it now have to shell out quite a bit of money to get it. But unlike other games in the same situation, Shantae was released for the 3DS Virtual Console, so this game had a well-deserved return from the obscure grave of nostalgia. But back in its day, this game had the task of squeezing out all the potential of the console it was destined for, and boy, does it achieve it. In fact, they had to put several extra chips into the cartridge for that very purpose. However, in trying to do that, they ran into a problem. That purpose was very expensive, and the developer didn't have the knowledge to apply this measure. So, its distribution and the manufacturing of the cartridge would fall into the hands of another company. This caused the company to hit a wall, because many companies declined the project, until one day they came across a company that would take on such an initiative. Capcom. Where did you leave that company that made money and helped others? Ryu in Smash? Thank you. In the game, we take on the role of Shantae, a young half-genie whose self-appointed duty is the protection of a fishing village called Scuttletown. Most of the time, this girl spends her time resting in a lighthouse that she has adopted as her home, living on the outskirts of town. Until one day, a pirate captain named Risky Boots and her henchmen, the Tinkerbats, make them walk the plank, decide to raid the town to get their hands on an invention belonging to Shantae's uncle, named Mimic, a relic hunter who, in his younger days, found a blueprint for a steam engine, from which he created a prototype of the machine. When Risky arrives at her uncle's place, this pirate steals the prototype for her evil plans, and we are tasked with recovering the machine and thwarting the pirate's plans. This is your objective. Although it doesn't differ much from most platformers, I have no problem with that kind of story. But if you do, you'll like to know that its charm lies in its gameplay mechanics, which are quite good and striking. During the game, we will notice that we can use our hair to attack. Me attacking with my hair, okay, sad face, sad music, and black and white to highlight emotions. And we will have to advance screen by screen, killing any enemy that dares to cross our path. After passing the first phase, which serves as a tutorial without any guiding text screens, like in the old days, we are presented with the first obstacle of the game. Where do we have to go? At that moment, we realize it is an exploration game, in which we will have many inaccessible areas at first until we find the ability that allows us to access those zones. But if we are totally lost, it would be good to enter one of the towns to guide ourselves on our journey by talking to the NPCs in that location. At that moment, our view of the character changes. From a 2D side-scrolling camera, we switch to a view from behind the protagonist, where a 3D environment is simulated, which demonstrates that it squeezes the Game Boy Color's capabilities as much as possible. Squeezes my Game Boy Color. In the towns, we can find various buildings that have different characteristics. There's a building where we can buy potions, items, and in some we can buy abilities for Shantae, so that she doesn't just attack with her hair, but can also kick enemies. They serve to add some variety. However, during the game, they end up being somewhat difficult to use, and most of the time they will cause you to get hit or fall into the nearest pit. Yes, I think I'm a bit clumsy for these games, or maybe it was the lobotomy I had years ago that's the cause. Who knows? The other buildings are a sauna where we will completely recover our genie's health for free and get attached to them, because you're going to spend a lot of time there since the hearts dropped by enemies can be counted on one hand. A dance club, which we can only access at night, where we can earn money with our talents, and whoever thinks what you're thinking with a tube, go to hell. And a save house where we talk to the pigeon man to save our game. And then we run into him throughout the whole game in his pigeon statue version. Once we're on our way in the game, we will enter different areas where we will come across an endless number of infinite enemies. The good thing is that many of them are exclusive to some areas, which feels great because it gives each place its own unique identity. One of those frustrating enemies are the Gorgons, who have a ranged attack that follows you wherever you go. Ha, ha, damn it. So ignoring them is not an option. While we walk, time will pass and night will fall. This is not just a transition to make the game look pretty. Here, darkness is your worst enemy. Why? You ask. Well, do you remember Castlevania 2? The same thing happens. The enemies become much stronger and tougher, to the point of being damage sponges. Not only do they withstand 2 more hits, some take up to 4 or 5 extra hits. And since your attack is very close range, you'll most likely get swarmed and lose health. Also, during the night, one of the collectibles will appear, the fireflies, which can only be grabbed at that moment. And here's one of the things that makes collecting all of them difficult, because many times you'll pass through that same place and realize it was never night, and you won't know where it is because the game is huge. To advance the story, we will have to find a character from some town who will help us open the dungeon doors. Let's see how many references we have. 1. Castlevania, Metroid, Zelda. We locate these people and make our way to the entrance, which are quite obvious and easy to find. Inside these dungeons, we will have to advance by killing enemies and solving puzzles, which are quite clever. In the respective dungeon, we will find Shantae's abilities, which are special dances that our genie performs. But to activate them, you need to press select and then press a sequence of buttons. These abilities are Shantae's transformations, which change her from her human form into an animal form, into a monkey, which can climb, pass through very small places, and jump very high. But its jump is very hard to control, and many times instead of helping you end up getting yourself killed. Into an elephant, which serves as a tank. It's very slow, but can break certain obstacles and deal much more damage to enemies. Into a spider, which only climbs special walls. And into a harpy, which can fly. All these metamorphoses allow the dungeons to be designed so that you use them a lot, as well as the bosses that inhabit these places. In the dungeons, there are also other collectibles we have to find. Hidden octopi. Before the boss fight, Risky Boots appears to remind you that she is the boss, and also that she is looking for some elemental stone tablets that will help her conquer the world. But this appearance is accompanied by the villain flying away at the end of her speech. Just like Team Rocket, she only lacks the final catchphrase, and that's it. Yes, apparently our villain is just as useless as that trio, that bunch of meddlers. In the towns, we can use the aforementioned octopi, who are being sought by their mother. When we find 4 of them and take them to the towns, we can activate a new dance that allows us to teleport to that specific town and avoid the long pilgrimage. Add that to the list too. This helps a lot to avoid fights, and especially when we have minimal health. But if you abuse it, you'll miss the aforementioned fireflies. It's a price you have to pay. The items we can buy are selected from the menu by pausing, but they are activated in the game by pressing up and B at the same time. However, you have to press them simultaneously, because if you press one button a millisecond before, they won't activate. This causes them to be absent in that precious moment you want to use them, making you stop using them quickly, and they become mere useless additions. It's a shame because the game is very stingy with healing, and when trying to activate potions, you won't be able to recover, and most of the time you'll die for this reason. On our journey, we will find some red jars with little faces. These provide an increase to our health capacity. And if we search well, some talismans that allow the transformations to have other virtues, mostly to attack with them. Because why couldn't I have the poison earlier to kill enemies from a distance? Why? The game's music is quite good, pushing the Game Boy Color's playback capabilities to the max. Production, it's already clear that this game took the console to its limits. The melodies are sublime and very atmospheric to the place you're in. The soundtrack consists of classical ballads from the Middle East with a MIDI touch. They were created by Jake Kaufman, who remastered the songs from DuckTales and created songs in other games like Bird Asterisk. Quite a good guy in his area, if you ask me. Personally, I really like the game, and although it draws heavily from other games, it doesn't feel like a copy. Rather, it's as if it took certain elements and from there created something original. The game has a fairly long duration, even though it seems like a short game. What I liked the most was the use of a female protagonist, which adds to that quite limited but growing number of heroines. Although the dialogue within the game felt a bit cheesy to me, this doesn't detract from the game. It may seem like an easy game, but it's not. It's quite difficult but fair, but those damn cactus enemies are death, haha. And it's a pity that this game didn't have the fame it needed back in the day, because a sequel for the Game Boy Advance was already being planned, but it never came, and almost a decade would pass before a sequel to this game was made. But it's good that a version was released for the 3DS, which more than makes up for the current price of the original game, and also allows those of us who didn't play it back then to appreciate it today. A game that I undoubtedly recommend. You won't regret giving it a look. I hope you liked the video. If so, give it a like. If you know someone who might enjoy it, share it on your social media, and don't forget to subscribe if you like the channel. If you have any questions, have any suggestions, or just want to comment something, don't hesitate to do so in the comment box below. Also, if you're a big fan of this channel, hit the notification bell to be among the first to see the videos. See you later, goodbye.